Hello, YNABers. My name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 462 for YNAB, where we teach you 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, get out of debt, and save more money. All 3 of those, stopping the paycheck to paycheck cycle, breaking it in half, getting out of debt, and saving more money, all have to do with something that maybe we all struggle with a little bit, and that's with spending. In order to hit any one of those goals, spending, most likely, probably always, needs to decrease. So today I wanted to go a little bit brass tacks and suggest a few ideas that you might use to curb what you call a money spending problem. Before we get into that, first, I just want to be very clear here. I don't think spending money is wrong. I don't think you should feel bad when you do it. All I want is for your money and your priorities to line up. So then when you do spend money, it feels good instead of bad. A money spending problem is really only a problem when the spending is out of alignment with what you truly care about. So be real about that. And if you're like, I wish I didn't have to spend money on groceries to feed my kids, come on, it's okay. So what are some ways though, if you find yourself still just kind of breaking the budget unnecessarily? I'm not talking about rolling with the punches with rule 3. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about where you're ignoring the budget and you're just doing it kind of, on a whim or because, or you're sad or whatever number of reasons. What are some ways that you can curb a real spending problem where you're saying, if I don't get this under control, I won't be able to hit my goals? I suggest a few things, 3 in particular. Number 1, you can start by just, you know how people, if they want to maybe cut back on how much meat they're eating, they'll do Meatless Monday. You may consider something like that. You may consider picking a day of the week that's not the easiest day, but not the hardest day, and say, every Wednesday, I will not spend anything. And be really, really dutiful about it. Like when you go back through YNAB, you're seeing every 7th day is missing from the transaction register because you don't spend money on that day. Or you're scrolling through your bank and you're saying, oh, look, there were no purchases on the 5th. There were no purchases on the 12th. There were no purchases on the 19th, and have a little streak, right? Be really dutiful about that because you'd almost have to look and say, well, are there any bills that will come out automatically on Wednesdays and change those? And you're saying, Jess, that doesn't really make sense. Like that's an automatic bill. But it does make sense because you're building a streak and you're creating this fun little wall that you're erecting to keep that spending problem away. And it may be a little bit of a game, absolutely. The whole thing's a game. But you're trying to draw a line in the sand and then protect that line, okay? So be very intentional about it. Don't spend any money on Wednesdays or Fridays. Ooh, Saturdays, right? I don't know which one would be the hardest for me. I think a weekend day. A weekend day would be the toughest. Sunday, easy, no problem at all. Resting and all of that. Okay, number 2. The second thing you could maybe consider doing is really looking at, instead of saying this is a spending problem, maybe you can be really clear, and this is more of like a positivity angle, and instead of like, I'm going to not do this, I'm kind of saying, well, let's find something you do want and go after that. So I want you to just try and find a way to obsess about spending or buying some savings, buying some freedom, buying, I was going to say Bitcoin as a joke because at the time of recording, it's going crazy. Buying some vacation, right? And in that sense, you're saying, it's not that you're not spending, you're just buying more funds in your vacation category by budgeting to that. And what you can do, and there are people that play these games where they see purchasing their next couple shares of some random index fund as a purchase, and they get just the same amount of satisfaction that you, dear shopper, may get from Amazon. So you could look at that and look at it more as, I'm just going to spend over here instead of over there, and I'm going to spend on stocks and bonds and 401ks and dreamy vacations when we can all do that again. And I'm going to spend on all kinds of amazing things that all just happen to boost your net worth or provide tremendous enjoyment and satisfaction, like a debt-free vacation. So that's one. Retool your thinking and say, oh, it's all spending. I'm just spending on my retirement, and then look at it that way. Finally, there are some of you that are triggered, like my oldest. He's always like, Dad, that really triggered me. I think that's kind of like a new deal. So there are things that possibly trigger you to kind of impulse purchase. And it could be your route that you drive. It could be something that happens when, in the evenings when you're tired, when stress is a little higher from the day kind of wrapping up. It could be a lunch break. It could be some kind of a respite from work for a moment. There are these different moments where you say, where was I just before I suddenly found myself on Nordstrom.com? And that is not an endorsement. That's the opposite of an endorsement. Where was I? What was I doing right before I suddenly typed in Amazon.com? And try and figure out what those triggers are that get you to that spot where then it's almost too late. You may look at actual intervention. And I don't mean like from friends and family. That would be really cool. And if you do that, please write me and tell me about it. But I mean like using an app, use some kind of a blocking app like Freedom or Circle or heck, probably just like Safari has it built in. But have a friend set it up so you can't unlock it, and then block those sites that are giving you problems. My guess is a lot of our spending, when we talk about having an actual spending problem, a lot of it is related to online stuff because it's just right there at the fingertip. So those are the three approaches. Let me see if I can remember the first one because my mind is going, oh yeah, okay. A spending holiday on a single day each week. Pick a day, be really, really intentional about it. Number two, reframe your saving to just be spending. You're spending it on stocks and on your net worth. You're spending it on paying down debt. And that's a fun thing to spend money on. It's like you get to spend it twice. And number three, look for those things that are triggering you and try and remove them from the environment so that you aren't triggered. Those are just a couple ideas sort of off the top of my head, but they all work. And it's just a matter of maybe picking one that resonated with you and then going for it. Remember, we're not about not spending. We just want to make sure we're not spending on things that we don't like. Until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules and you will win financially. You've never budgeted like this.